Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to chapel, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm here representing the Latinx caucus together with co-chair Sarah Patlin. And today's chapel is one of three events that the caucus has planned and is hosting as part of Hispanic Heritage Month, in which we are emphasizing Afro-Latinidad. And so Josue is here with us today to lead us through an innovative practice of musica divina. You may have practiced, if you're like me, Lectio Divina, Visio Divina. I have never done, is it musica or audio? Musica divina. So this is a practice that Josue has prepared for us today. The other two events I'll just share with you quickly. Next Wednesday, we will be hosting a screening of the film Faith and Blackness with an interview with Yolanda Correa, one of the producers. And on that same day, Josue will be back with us in chapel to talk about the problems of anti-Blackness in the Latinx community. So we hope to see you there for both of those events. I first met Josue through Carla Mendoza, who introduced me to him last year. And I invited Josue to speak at a Hispanic Scholars Program alumni network event that focused on solidarity within the Latina community. And Josue came and spoke on Blackness and Latinidad, and that's where we first met. But then he kept popping up in other places as well. So when Sarah and I were studying at the HSP this summer, we read an article by him in which he proposes his idea, his concept of negriología, and then now is back with us today for Música Divina. Josue serves as the executive director of the Afro-Latina Forum, the director of Black Lives Contemplation. He is the associate pastor at Metro Hope Church and co-curator of the Afro-Latina Theology Project, and is an executive producer of Faith and Blackness, the film that we'll be screening next week. He's an author whose writing has been featured in the New York Times, the New Yorker, USA Today, and Sojourners. Sarah and I are waiting for a book-length project on negriología, but I think that's in the future. So with that, I invite you to welcome Josue, who will lead us through this contemplative practice.
Thank you so much, Larry, and thank you to the Latinx Caucus, and thank you for Union for having me. It's always an honor to be here. I didn't graduate from Union, but I took classes here when I was in seminary myself, so it's always good to return. One of the things we're going to do, so this is Contemplative Mondays, and it's a way that we steep ourselves in a brief moment of contemplation. And when I met with Larry and Sarah and the Dean, we spoke about this practice that we do at the community. So I'm a member in the bio that Larry so nicely read. One of the things that I do is I'm a director of Black Lives Contemplation, which is part of the Center for Spiritual Imagination. I put some pamphlets and stuff in the front if you want to learn more about the center, some of the contemplative practices that we steep ourselves in. But I am a member of a new monastic community that runs the center called the Community of the Incarnation. In the Community of the Incarnation, we believe that contemplation is very expansive, and so we believe that there are many different ways in which we can connect. Just as a brief definition, one of the things that we believe is that contemplation is really a way for us to have conscious contact with the divine. It's how our community broadly defines contemplation. That it may be rooted in silence, and I think that we always say silence is the root of all contemplative practices, but it doesn't have an exclusively silent practice, a non-discursive practice to be contemplative. So like we say here, that this awareness of making conscious the divine can be nurtured through practices such as Lectio Divina, which is in Latin is a very well-known monastic practice that has been steeped over from the monastic side. We then do different versions, different plays of that Lectio Divina. We do a musica divina, which we're going to experience together today. We also sometimes do a Visio Divina, which is an art-centered practice, which is literally just looking at art and responding to it in a prayerful way. We also do something that we call natural divina, which is as you walk outside, and you can do that one at any moment. You walk outside, what do the trees tell you? What is the wind saying? And it's a really good way. And other traditions call it different ways. These are just the ways that we call it in our community. Our community, while not being exclusively Christian, is Christian based. It's rooted in the tradition, but it is expansive, and we have that. And the one that we're going to do today is called musica divina. And so you may be like, what is musica divina? Well, that sounds weird. Musica divina is exactly what it sounds like. It's a way for us to listen to music in a way that that allows us to really engage with the divine, really engage with what do we hear, what messages do we hear the divine telling us through the music, through the rhythms, through the lyrics if they're present. And there'll be different steps that I'm going to walk us through. But I did want to ground us with this word from Barbara Holmes. Barbara Holmes is an ancestor now. She passed away early this year. And she wrote this about music as a contemplative force. Could I get a volunteer to read it? And then I'm going to pass you the mic.
Music is contemplative because it ignites memories of the awe and wonder that we tend to discard after childhood. Art also carves pathways toward our inner aisles of spirituality. When we decide to live in our heads only, we become isolated from the God who is closer than our next breath. The restoration of wonder is the beginning of the inward journey toward a God who people of faith aver is always waiting in the seeker's heart. For some, the call to worship comes as joy spurts from jazz riffs, wonder thunders from tappers' feet. As we ponder Lamar's prophetic insolence and Beyonce's Black Girl Magic, each artistic moment is just slightly beyond our horizon of understanding. What a gift it is, this lack of understanding. Perhaps we are confounded so that we might always have much to contemplate.
That was a wonderful reading. Thank you so much. So, musica divina animates this part, and that's one of the practices that we find really accessible for people to enter into contemplative practice and maybe enter into longer periods of silences. It works for me in many different ways, and it's one of the practices that we do at the community and that we do together. And so here's the way the practice is going to work. I'm going to go back to that slide. We're going to have 5 movements in our practice today. The first one is originally called what we call audio, or lectio, or traditionally lectio divina called audio, where you're just going to hear on your own the song. You're going to hear it raw, no context, just listen to the song. We're going to create some time of silence. We'll listen to it again. So we're going to go that audio lectio moment is going to happen 2 or 3 times actually. We're going to listen to it again with lyrics this time. Sometimes we're going to be listening to a hip hop song. So sometimes hip hop is heard, but sometimes you need to read the lyrics. I need to read the lyrics. It's also in Spanish. So they're translated in the lyric sheet so that you're like, I don't know what they're saying, so that you can read it. Well, then after each listen, we'll spend some time in the movement that's called meditation, or really meditate and reflect. What did you hear? What stood out to you from the song? So after the first listen, just your own reaction, and we won't share at that moment, just for you to keep to yourself. I'll invite us to some moments of silence at that moment. Second listen, same thing, but you'll have the lyrics, so maybe something else opened up. And then the third listen that we'll engage in will be with a music video of the song. Now that you heard the lyrics, I'll give you some context of the song. And then after watching the video, you got some context, you already read the lyrics. Now you sit with it for a little bit longer and what comes up for you as you're thinking about the video, the sounds, the rhythms, everything. We'll spend more time in silence in that one, what we call rest in silence. In the prayer portion, right? You're gonna think about that, what's coming up for you, and then you're gonna go into this resting in silence period. And then we have a step that's not traditionally done in a lectio practice, but it is done when we do a community called comunicare or sharing, where then we'll just share what came up for each of us. And people share as free as as they feel open to do, or not share as they feel open to do. And then that's what will be the practice. So the practice is going to be listening to this one song a few times in different formats, peppering that with silence so that we understand what our feelings are, what comes up for us, and then sharing together. How does that sound? Great. And these instructions that I'm not going to go through them, I have them for you so that you can read them later. Just if you wanted to do your own musica divina practice, what's to consider and how to do that on your own. All right. So like I said, today we're listening to a song called Kilo by a group called Dawer and Damper. That's what I'm going to say right now. So let's take a second to sit in a position that is most comfortable to you. It doesn't have to be with your back straight, but that helps some of us. It doesn't have to be with your feet planted in one specific way, but that helps some of us. And I want you to take a second, and you can lower your gaze or keep your eyes open fixed on one location. Don't worry about the screen. The screen won't have anything right now. And maybe just notice how you're breathing right now. Is your breath fast? Is your breath slow? Is your chest moving quickly or just regularly? And I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath together. Let's inhale, then exhale. Take another deep breath together. Inhale, exhale. Take one last deep breath together. Inhale, exhale. And just spend the next few seconds being grateful for this moment, for taking this time for yourself. Maybe also let's remind ourselves to be open to whatever the divine has to say to us through this new practice. Before we play the first time of the song, just maybe ask the divine or allow yourself to wonder what you need to hear this time.
Okay. Mira bien.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Dame caro, pues.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Dawer is down there.
No sé, no saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Papi, tú tranqui que yo kilo y no saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Oye, tú tranqui que yo kilo y cuál visaje suélteme el deal. ¿Qué pasa, pri? Mejor es que se baje aquí. ¿Cuál visaje suélteme, pri? ¿Qué pasa aquí? Mejor es que se vaya aquí. Tú tranqui que soy kilo. Sencillo, frecuente, amarillo. Así de kilo a kilo. Iluminante, brillante como el bombillo. Vos sabéis que la gente está clara. ¿Y cómo fue? Que la gente ya aquí está parada. Y vos sabés, no sabes por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, que me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Tú tranqui que soy kilo. No sabes por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, que me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Tú tranqui que soy kilo. Tres tristes tigres comiendo el mismo cuento. No se deje de la oreja y deja el chisme a pito. Coja oficio, vaya la brillante sin ungüento. Vaya misa, mijo. Lenguas telepáticas, sonrisas simpáticas, gente medio mediática y bla bla bla. Con la mente estática, sin darle ni tatequie, persiguiendo el polvo empiezo que fue. ¿Cuál visaje suélteme el deal? ¿Qué pasa, pri? Mejor es que se baje aquí. ¿Cuál visaje suélteme, pri? ¿Qué pasa aquí? Mejor es que se vaya aquí. No saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Papi, tú tranqui que yo kilo y no saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Oye, tú tranqui que yo kilo y quiero hablar y demás.
Dámelo más, yo. Afrofuturismo.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Dawer is down there. Afrofuturismo.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Yo creo que no estamos haciendo otra cosa.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Y esto es puro flow y estética. No digo porque la rompe así con estos beats tan brutal, así que. Así que.
So let's take a few minutes in silence to reflect on what sounds stood out to us. How did they make us feel? What lyrics stood out to you? What sensations did you have as you listened to the work of music? you're going to receive the lyrics for the song, and then we're going to listen to it one more time. If you would like to read the lyrics as the song plays again, feel free to do so. If you just want to listen to it again without the lyrics, feel free to do so. And once we have our lyrics, which are located in page 2 and page 3, we'll get ready to listen a second time.
Okay.
Oh,
Mira bien.
quiero hablar y demás.
Dame claro, pues.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Dawer is down there.
No sé, no saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Papi, tú tranqui que yo kilo y no saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Oye, tú tranqui que yo kilo y cuál visaje suélteme el deal. ¿Qué pasa, pri? Mejor es que se baje aquí. ¿Cuál visaje suélteme, pri? ¿Qué pasa aquí? Mejor es que se vaya aquí. Tú tranqui que soy kilo, sencillo, frecuente, amarillo, así de kilo a kilo, iluminante, brillante como el bombillo. Vos sabés que la gente está clara. ¿Y cómo fue? Que la gente de aquí está parada y vos sabés, no sabes por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, que me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Tú tranqui que soy kilo, no sabes por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, que me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Tú tranqui que soy kilo. Tres tristes tigres comiendo el mismo cuento. No se deje de la oreja y deja el chisme a pito. Coja oficio, vaya al gabe y unte sin ungüento. Vaya a misa, mijo. Lenguas telepáticas, sonrisas simpáticas, gente medio mediática y bla bla bla. Con la mente estática, sin darle ni tatequie, persiguiendo el polvo a pienso que fue. ¿Cuál visaje suélteme el deal? ¿Qué pasa, pri? Mejor es que se baje aquí. ¿Cuál visaje suélteme, pri? ¿Qué pasa aquí? Mejor es que se vaya aquí. No saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Papi, tú tranqui que yo kilo y no saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Oye, tú tranqui que yo kilo y quiero hablar y demás.
Dámelo más, yo. Afrofuturismo.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Dawer is down there. Afrofuturismo.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Yo creo que no estamos haciendo otra cosa.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Y esto es puro flow y estética. No digo porque la rompe así con el topi tan brutal, así que. Así que.
take another minute just to, now that you've read the lyrics, you listen to it a second time, just to know what's coming alive in you at this moment. Notice to any emotion that's really resonating or that's new. And now that our eyes were activated, we're going to engage in the last movement of the practice. Just listening to it one more time. This time we're going to share the music video. I'm going to not sit here so that there's uninterrupted viewing. So just try to spend some time seeing Dawer and Damper. So let me give you some context on the song before you see the video. Dawer and Damper are brothers from Cali, Colombia. Cali is one of the blackest cities in Colombia. Colombia, because the government doesn't talk about it as much, is actually like closer to 40% black, but it's not the image that you get of Colombia. Cali itself is like 90% black. It's a very black city. From this song, you can tell they're listening with diasporic sounds and they're mixing a few things together. This is from their debut album called Donde Machi. Donde Machi is the place where they would practice and they would do music. It was released in 2022. Their debut album was critically acclaimed. A lot of people were taken aback by the lyrics, by the content of the album. And this song specifically, Kilo, is a very protest or song that talks about the social context of Cali, Colombia. Black Caleños obviously struggle with structural racism and different things, but they specifically wanted to give their video, through their video, tell a part of the story that they couldn't tell, is how clothing that doesn't fit them usually is a part of what happens to black folk, where we are told to wear something that doesn't necessarily fit us. You'll see that in the video. It's also, they said that it's the way in which they wanted to talk and to give a different voice of people in Cali. So we'll talk about that when we do the sharing, but just they wanted to do that through the video as well. What they say here is, specifically this is what they say, they wanted to see Cali through the lens of how the neighborhood would see it, not through an outsider lens, but how would someone from the neighborhood see Cali? Because they say clothing, along with music, are very determinant of who you are, your social status, and that was part of the context of this video. So we'll do this last listen, and that'll be a longest period of silence, and then right after it, and then we'll open up for sharing.
No sé, no saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Papi, tú tranqui que yo kilo y no saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Oye, tú tranqui que yo kilo y cuál visaje suelte el drill que pasa pri, mejor es que se baje aquí. Cuál visaje suélteme pri, ¿qué pasa aquí? Mejor es que se baje aquí. Tú tranqui que soy kilo, sencillo, frecuente, amarillo, así de kilo a kilo, iluminante, brillante como el bombillo. Vos sabés que la gente está clara. ¿Y cómo fue? Que la gente de aquí está parada y vos sabés No sabe por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue que me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Tú tranqui que soy kilo. No sabe por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue que me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Tú tranqui que soy kilo. Tres tristes tigres comiendo el mismo cuento. No se deje de la oreja y deje el chisme a pito. Coja oficio, vaya el lápiz y un té sin ungüento. Vaya misa, mijo. Lenguas telepáticas, sonrisas simpáticas, gente medio mediática y bla bla bla. Con la mente estática, sin darle ni un tate quie. Persiguiendo el polvo empiezo que fue. ¿Cuál visaje suelte el drill? ¿Qué pasa, pri? Mejor es que se baje aquí. ¿Cuál visaje suélteme, pri? ¿Qué pasa aquí? Mejor es que se vaya aquí. No saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Papi, tú tranqui que yo kilo y no saben por qué, que me equivoqué. No soy raro y que fue, me equivoqué. ¿Vos crees que soy un alien o qué? Oye, tú tranqui que yo kilo y quiero hablar y demás.
Háblamelo más, yo, afrofuturismo.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Dawer is down there. Afrofuturismo.
Quiero hablar y
Estética,
demás.
yo creo que no estamos haciendo otra cosa.
Quiero hablar y demás.
Y esto es puro flow y estética. No digo porque la rompe así con estos beats tan brutal, así que. Así que.
Now let's take about 3 to 5 minutes just in silence, thinking everything that you just saw, listened to a few times, your own feelings, and just sit with them for the next few minutes. Maybe think what's coming up for you, but what also do you think the divine is trying to tell you through this song, through this experience? Let's take the next few minutes to sit with that. And when you're ready, just slowly open your eyes and maybe offer a smile to someone in this circle, being thankful for this time of contemplation that we shared. And now is when we'll open it up to any shares, really. It could be as open-ended as you want it to be. There's no expert here. I happen to pick the song, but it's not like I'm an expert of the song. So if you have a question, I may or may not be able to answer. But any reactions, what came up for us, how was the practice, did the video or the lyrics change something? Really anything that you want to answer or want to share, really sharing anything, just raise your hand and we'll pass a mic around.
When I heard it the first time here, I kept thinking, quiero la libertad, I want freedom. And then when I saw the lyrics, it was like, quiero hablar y demás, I want to speak, about it. But yet, then reading all the rest of the words, I feel like that's what I want, just freedom.
Peace, peace.
Peace.
When I first heard the song, when I first heard the song and read the lyrics without the video, I was like, is this like a breakup, like a relationship song, a breakup? Like, I make mistakes, take me back, I don't know. But then seeing the video, the message I got was that like your authenticity, your most authentic self is divine. There's something about just like seeing like the different lock styles, and like the different size clothes pulled up to your waist and all these different things. Something about it was like the very churchy thing of come as you are. And that's like what that video gave me. It was like, come as you are, your most authentic self is divine, and you are not a mistake. Yeah.
I saw a hand over there.
This was a curious experience for me because when I first heard it, I felt maybe the most removed from it. And when I was listening to it, I was kind of going for the negative space. What is the beat telling me? What are the silences telling me? And then with the lyrics, there was something in how I heard it the first time, it almost felt like a call to prayer. So the lyrics kind of being confessional in that way, I thought was rather interesting. But the visuals kind of really knocked my socks off. And I was so impressed with what seemed to be someone who was signing.
Yes,
And
there was
like,
someone signing.
this thing is trying to get at you from any and every angle it can take. What is the urgency here? Because that beat is so like chill. It's just this constant kind of pulsing that's there. I was like, so what is this constant urgency? What is this thing that's trying to drive and to communicate to you in all of these ways? And of course, that's kind of catnip for the spiritual. So it was intriguing to kind of be way out here with it. And with each level, it became kind of closer and more urgent, for me. And I think being in this community and experiencing it as well. So it was interesting.
I'll just add some context. The reason why I thought the video was important to see is because they themselves said we wanted to do the video as part of the meaning of the song because they couldn't express what we saw in words. They were like, we wanted to express that. And what that is a question. What is it that you want to, for all the different things they're saying? But they said in an interview, we couldn't do it through words, so we wanted to do it through the video. So the video is just as intentional as part of the song for them, visually. So the fact that you picked up on that was good.
Thank you. So when I heard it the first time, the bass, the beat, the bottom, that's where I was. Grounding each. And immediately, I said, Rhonda, silence doesn't mean you can't move. And I just let it flow. Shoulders were doing all kinds of things. I didn't do what I would normally do if I was in my room, but I was there with the beat. And as I was moving with the beat, the grounding into the earth, into the rhythm, into the body, the embodiment, there was a part of the song before I even got the lyrics that went blah, blah, blah. And it was in that moment right before that I was really feeling it. And then when I looked at the lyrics, it's where it says, telepathic tongues, sympathetic smiles, kind of average people, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, so when I read it, I started smiling on the second listen. It was like, okay, I'm flowing in that inability to actually understand, but somehow picking up through the energetic feel that this is what's happening. And then when I saw the video, in that moment, the blah, 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 and he was like, he pulled up his pants, I was like, that's what's up. It's like, hey, it's like, here is where it all kind of, listen to me, hear me, all of that. And then that wrapped around the images, the first image of the shoes hanging on I see that in Detroit. That's like connected. When the young person was getting their hair combed, I was between my mama's knees. At the barbershop, I'm seeing Lil Junior not want to get his hair cut, but getting it cut and being proud. So it's like all these connections, and then I'm here sitting, this shirt I decided to put on today, there's some shirts I usually wear over and over again, Village of Love and Resistance, and another one is I Make My Ancestors Proud. So for me, it was taking me through all of that kind of energetic, and I won't say, it wasn't confessional to me, it was like rhythm and joy and celebration, and let me tell you what I got to tell you in the meantime. Joy and listening deeply and given the vociferous context of the isms and all of those things that are troubling and oppressing us don't have to be bifurcated. They can go together so that we can sustain ourselves through the process in the long haul. So that's what was moving for me.
Amen. We'll take one or two more chairs, just because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. But we have 2 chairs here.
Thank you. Thanks for this song and for leading us in this. I think I noticed in myself when I was first listening to it, the first thing that caught me was the beat, and I was thinking, I don't usually, when I'm listening to this kind of music, I don't usually sit contemplatively, I usually dance. And then I was picking up next on some of the language that made me feel like there's tension in the song, me equivoqué, you think I'm an alien. I was picking up on this language of, okay, there's tension, there's something going on. I was like, but it felt so, I had no context for it. Getting the context from you and from the video was really helpful, and I also love when a song's message toward that tension is I'm good, I'm here, and so I really appreciated going through the layers into the depth of this song through the multiple listens, through watching the video, and the context that you provided about Cali.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll add is that the alien line is specifically, they said, was because they feel that sometimes they are observed, black folk all over the world are observed in this you don't belong here anywhere thing. So it's so the line is, do you think I'm an alien or what? Why are you staring at me? And there's this part that is really interesting, which is when the video comes up, they purposefully wear hair in a unique way that is not normalized, quote unquote, so it was a very intentional line, they said. And yes, we'll have one more share and then we'll close out in prayer.
Thank you for that also additional context. And thank you everyone for the reflections. I also sort of had journey begin. Well, I don't speak Spanish, so also during the first listen, I was mostly like in the rhythms, in the beat, and also the musicality of the rapper, right? And what I noticed was like there was I felt some instability, some uncertainty when sometimes the bass would get removed, but the lyrics would continue. And so I was like, even as the context of the song is sort of coming and going, the lyricist remains pretty steadfast in what he's trying to say. But I found at the end, I was like, but like, what am I being called to be steadfast in? Because I didn't know what the lyrics were saying yet. And so then I got the lyrics and I was like, there's also a lot of uncertainty here. I want to talk. I don't know. I made a mistake. They don't know. There's a lot of yeah, I would just say characterize it as uncertainty. And in the second listen, I felt that further. And then when you added in the video and gave the social context, right? It also brought me back to my neighborhood on the south side of Atlanta, where there are also shoes hanging by the electric poles and stuff like this, which also evoked, at least from my childhood, like a sense of danger. There was a lot of violence in my community. And so I was like, I still don't know if I have an answer to what it is to be steadfast in, but it leaves me wondering.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for this time and for engaging in this practice. I have a closing prayer that I'll ask someone to read if we're down. But before the closing prayer, because we'll just leave after the closing, I know Dean Montes is going to make an announcement after the closing prayer. But we'll have some materials that you can grab with other practices, such as Lectio Divina, Visio Divina, and our method of prayer at the community called the Incarnation Method of Prayer. So feel free to grab some stuff and also learn more about our project called Black Lives Contemplation, in which we center Black wisdom and Black experience to engage us into contemplative practice. This Thursday, if you're interested in a different form of this contemplative practice online, Thursday night at 7, we have a series that we call Musica Divina, called Meditation is a Must, Musica Divina with the music of Kendrick Lamar. So we'll be going through one Kendrick song in a similar style online. It's monthly, that's every month. And this Thursday is our first one. So feel free to join us. So can I have a volunteer to read this closing prayer for us? Maybe someone whose voice we can welcome into the space. Thank you. And the screen, the prayer's on the screen.
The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
God of all, from Calvary to Compton, from Atlanta to Brooklyn, we thank you for this moment of contemplation. May we truly hear the wisdom shared, both from that prophet of Compton and the quiet inspirations within each of us today. May your Spirit continue to open our eyes to see within each of us today and to see you in every person. Help us never to forget the inherent worth of human beings, to find your divinity in our shared humanity. Let us understand that no matter how much a dollar costs, it will never outweigh the sacredness of a single soul. May we do more than simply say our grace and wash our hands. May we actively seek where and how you are speaking, allowing your guidance to transform us, little by little, into agents of change for ourselves and our broken world. May our actions always lead us to see you in all. In your triune name, Ashe and Amen.
Ashe and amen. Thank you all. And I'll pass it to Dean Montes or someone who's going to make announcements. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you again. Tomorrow, September 16, Tuesday, we have Steph Reed leading the chapel. The theme is the power of love. So all are welcome. Bring friends with you. Come as you are, and all are welcome. Thank you. Have a blessed day. Thank you.